It was 7 a.m. when I came home, but nothing felt right. The streets, the neighborhood, even the smell of the air, it all hit me wrong, like something was out of place. But what did I know? I had just flown back from the desert, spent the last 2 years fighting in a foreign land. You'd think I'd be used to strange feelings by now. Still, it didn't feel like home. The car pulled into a rundown motor lodge, not a hotel, not an Airbnb. A motor lodge with a flickering neon sign, half the lights burned out. The kind of place where you pay by the hour, not by the night. I asked the driver, "You sure this is the address?" He just glanced at his phone, said room 104, and drove off. No hesitation. I grabbed my duffel bag, still fighting off jet lag and a sinking feeling in my stomach. What the hell was going on? The door opened before I even had a chance to knock. Leah was standing there, her face. It wasn't fear, it wasn't relief, it was just tired, like she'd been holding it all together long enough for me to come home and fix it. I tried to smile, but it felt like the air left me when I saw her, the way she stood there like she didn't know whether to hug me or ask me to leave. "Hey," she said. Not a whisper, not a sigh, just a soft, tired greeting. The room was small, barely enough space to turn around, dim, smelled like cheap cleaner and leftover takeout. One bed, a folding table, and a woman who looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. No food, no bags packed, just a box of receipts and a manila folder that looked like it could kill a cockroach if thrown hard enough. My military instincts kicked in the room. Where's my stuff? Where's my dog? And then, that damn folder. Leah pushed it across the table, like it might explode if it fell. "Start here," she said. "Then we'll talk." Inside the folder were papers, legal documents, HOA forms, transfer of property forms, and at the very end, my name. My signature. Or, at least, it looked like my signature, but something was off, like a bad forgery at the DMV. I looked up. Leah was already watching me, her eyes too tired to hide anything. "I didn't sign that," she said, her voice cracking. "But I was stupid. I thought it was just paperwork. I didn't think they'd go this far." Page after page, violation after violation. A mailbox that wasn't HOA approved, lawn overgrowth beyond 2.5 inches, window blinds that didn't match the street aesthetic. And then I saw it. One page said that the property had been reclaimed under some emergency bylaw. Emergency what? I stared at it, my hands shaking. They said you were unreachable, that we forfeited the house. Leah, her voice breaking, whispered, "They changed the locks while you were overseas, John." Just like that. No warning. No phone call. Nothing. I clenched the folder so tight I thought it might rip. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. "Karen did this," she added, her voice like she'd just swallowed glass. "She said she was acting on behalf of the board, brought 2 guys with her. Chad as her enforcer and 2 guys I didn't recognize. They didn't knock. They just walked in." I snapped my head up, the world suddenly a little clearer. "Wait, did they put hands on you?" Leah didn't answer right away. Instead, she tugged at the sleeve of her hoodie, and that's when I saw it. A bruise, dark and ugly, just above her elbow. My heart stopped. I felt my pulse spike. "She didn't call you?" I asked, sitting down hard, trying to steady myself, trying to think. "I didn't want to risk it," Leah whispered, her eyes empty. I didn't know what to say. This wasn't just some HOA mess. This was personal. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor, and walked over to the window, pressing my forehead against the glass. I exhaled slowly, trying to keep my voice calm, trying not to snap. "You held me together in Afghanistan with duct tape and a prayer. But now you're hiding from a woman with a clipboard." Leah let out a bitter laugh. "She has authority, John. Real or fake, I don't know. But she waved those papers like they meant something." I turned back, flipping through the last of the papers. And there it was. Under last known address, they'd listed my deployment base overseas. They timed it. They knew. This wasn't an accident. It was a goddamn ambush. I looked up at Leah. "Where's Ranger?" She froze. Her eyes filled with something dark. I didn't want to tell you, John. Where is he? I demanded. She swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. They said he bit someone. That he's a threat. Animal control took him. I didn't get to say goodbye. I was already MOVYing before she could say anything more. I grabbed my jacket and stormed out, adrenaline surging through me like I hadn't felt in 2 years. They took my house. They took my dignity. But they hadn't taken my dog. And I wasn't about to let that happen. The shelter was 40 minutes away. I made it in 23. I didn't stop to change. Didn't call ahead. I didn't even think. I just climbed into my truck, boots still coated in sand, and drove. I drove like the road could burn off the rage boiling inside me. I parked crooked in the lot, slammed the door shut, and walked straight into the shelter, not slowing down. A young girl at the counter glanced up, her face filled with confusion. "Can I help you?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm. "I'm here for Ranger," I said, my voice low, controlled, dangerous. She blinked. "Sorry, who?" "My dog," I repeated. "Belgian Malinois. Taken by the HOA for being a threat." She hesitated, her fingers twitching near the phone. "I'll have to check." I didn't wait. "Where is he?" She pulled up the intake sheet. "I can't just give him to you. I'm not here to make trouble. I'm here to take my partner home." She stared at me. I stared right back. She clicked the mouse a few times, then a bark echoed from the back. It was low, sharp, familiar. And there he was. Ranger. He was thinner than I remembered, matted fur, an old wound on his leg, his left eye bloodshot. But when he saw me, when he locked eyes with me, his tail shot straight up. He moved toward me, like he couldn't believe I was real. I knelt down, grabbed his face in my hands, buried my head into his fur. He smelled like metal and disinfectant, but damn it, he was alive. He was real. Then I saw the scars. A burn on his shoulder, a patch of missing fur. I stood up, furious. "I want to see the incident report," I demanded. The girl hesitated, then handed over the papers. I read the first paragraph, and it took everything I had not to rip it in half. Dog lunged without provocation. Owner unresponsive and aggressive. Previous history of neighborhood disruption. Concerns voiced about the female resident's mental stability. I didn't blink. Didn't flinch. "She called my wife unstable," I said, my voice flat. The girl stayed quiet. "That's not a report," I said, pushing the papers back toward her. "That's slander." I left the shelter with Ranger by my side, Leah waiting in the truck. The journey was quiet, except for the sound of Ranger breathing softly in the back seat. When we got back to the motel, Leah ran out the second she saw us, dropping to her knees and pulling Ranger into her arms. She sobbed, shaking. He pressed against her like he was afraid to let go. But something was wrong. Ranger didn't feel safe anymore. Neither did I. The next morning, I got a call. It was from a number I didn't recognize. The voice on the other end was cold, detached. "You looking for a Belgian Malinois?" he asked. "Who is this?" "You've got until noon, then we let him go." The line went dead. I hung up and turned to Leah. She didn't ask who it was. She didn't need to. We both knew. They had him again, and I was about to make them regret it. Karen had crossed the line. I had the documents, the evidence, the proof. Now, it was time to make sure the world knew who she really was. It didn't take long. A few phone calls, a few emails, and soon enough, the whole neighborhood knew about Karen's dirty tricks. The forged signatures, the slander, the abuse. The police came. They didn't arrest her right away, but they had the evidence. It was over. But not before Karen made one last attempt to silence me. She tried to spread lies, tried to turn the neighborhood against us. She thought she still had power. And in a way, she did. But not for long. That night, as I stood outside with Leah, watching the last of Karen's power crumble, I realized something. It wasn't just about the house. It wasn't about the dog. It was about what they tried to take from us. Our family, our dignity, our peace. But they didn't win. They never would. If you've ever faced something like this, some petty tyrant who thinks they can control your life, tell me about it in the comments below. What would you have done in my place? And don't forget to share if you believe justice always finds its way, because it does. Thanks for listening, and don't let anyone ever make you feel small.